This video was supposed to be a lovely look at Stavanger, the rail journey there, and a review of the flight home. But for reasons you're about to find out, it's not going to be quite like that. In fact, this is a story of how I'm always going to keep Norway in a very special place in my heart. Of course, though, this started out as a fairly bog-standard journey as I joined the train to Stavanger, with the wind doing many, many unflattering things to my hair. So, welcome to the final long-distance journey of this trip. We're travelling on board Go Ahead Nordic, making the 7-hour, 45-minute journey to Stavanger via Kristiansand. So, join me in comfort class. Let's get going. I'll be honest, I wasn't entirely impressed with the train at first, as we were all reserved, bunched up at one end of the carriage, and were seemingly allocated just a single cup of free coffee for the entire trip, which was to take nearly 8 hours. And it was a little bit slow stop, with us regularly halting to allow other trains to get past. That said, it was fairly peaceful, and the scenery, while nothing too striking, was pleasant. I was able to get up, have a stretch, and enjoy what was my last long-distance trip on a Norwegian train. So around 3 hours in, I hit a snag. I was happily listening to music, and my phone had just recently hit 100%, and then suddenly the music stopped and was replaced by a buzzing noise. The screen went dead, and it went hot very, very quickly. So we are still on board the Volume 25 Oslo to Stavanger, which has fried my phone. So I now have no phone and no means of contact with anyone, and I'm pretty sure I needed to transfer myself some money to pay for this hotel, so this may well be an interesting one. I also need to check in for my flight to get home. So it's 3 hours to go until Stavanger, and yeah, I'm not having a very good evening. Now, initially, my thoughts were mostly centred around cursing this damned country, considering that I'd now injured both of my ankles while here, and now didn't have a phone. And this was actually a problem, because I've been budgeting myself by sending myself money from my savings every few days, and I've been meaning to do this while on this train, but it fried itself before that was even possible. So I was also really anxious about what would happen if I couldn't pay for my hotel, not because I didn't have the money, but because it was in the wrong place. So I decided that asking people on board for a little bit of technological assistance couldn't hurt. So, as we continue our journey to Stavanger, how are things going? So basically, a fellow passenger gave me his MacBook and let me make a few messages to a couple of people, just to let them know where I am. The host in the cafe bar is going to let me use his iPad once we're in an area with better signal, and hopefully I can do something a little bit more useful for myself from there. So if there's one lesson you take from this, it's make sure that you have all of the money you need on your card, because you never know what could happen with technology. Other than that, though, I have to seriously commend both the Norwegian people and the train staff. All have been incredibly helpful, and nobody said, "Oh, that's not my problem," and done nothing. I'll be honest, I was stunned. The first help came from a stranger who interrupted his studying and just gave me his MacBook without any hesitation whatsoever. That allowed me to let a couple of important people to know that I might be disappearing for 48 hours, and also to let family know I was safe but might need a little bit of help. And whether you were a person that helped out or just gave me a laugh and told me that I was the human embodiment of chaos, I'm still immensely grateful. So after I went to the cafe car and sorted things out on this attendant's iPad, this is when things got even weirder. I was working my way through my emails, double checking where my hotel was, hearing the bloke's life story, and then I get talking to Sofie, who it turns out studied the same degree as me, but in Stavanger. And then she asks, "Hey, do you want to ride to your hotel? My husband's picking me up." So there I am, getting off at a station that isn't Stavanger, in the pouring rain, putting my faith in these two incredibly kind strangers, and soon enough, I'm sat in the company car of a local newspaper being driven to my hotel, which was actually in the complete opposite direction to where they lived. And as we get close, I'm asked, "Hey, you doing anything tomorrow? We should hang out." So this just gets even better. And don't underestimate the hell of making plans without a phone, because there I was stood in the pouring rain, scrawling my details on a piece of scrap paper. Things then got even stranger when I got into the hotel, and I was asked, "How's your leg?" Because it turns out that my family had dropped them an email and told them that I was a bumbling idiot and had been injuring myself the entire time, and how much of a mess I was. So I got a room upgrade, a massive bucket of ice for my poorly ankle, and offered any help that I needed throughout the stay. So I ran back outside to tell Sofie and Philip they could go, because they were waiting on me to make sure I wasn't told to piss off in the middle of a rainstorm. And that was that. Off upstairs I went to reflect on what the hell had just happened. I sat here with ice on my foot for the first time since I injured it on Wednesday, and yeah, I'm currently enjoying a beer. It's proof that there's good people in the world when a complete screw up on my part, leaving my phone charging that long in the train, and on the part of whatever dodgy socket was going on in there. It's proof that things do work out in the end. As much as I still have to work out how to check in for my flight home. I'm looking forward to being able to talk to people at home again, but I couldn't really have asked for a better outcome this evening. Right, so it's day 9. It's the last full day in Norway. I'm about to head to the library in Stavanger to try and get a few things in order in preparation for me heading back to the UK tomorrow. However, you have no idea how much you rely on your phone until you don't have it, because all I currently have is a map with 2 circles drawn on it. So yes, the next day I was handed a paper map by the same absolutely lovely receptionist and given instructions on getting to the library. I still managed to get a bit lost, but hey, I was soon there, managed to get things sorted like a boarding pass, and tell my lovely new friends that I was definitely still good to meet up, as well as telling people back home that I was still a prat. So, welcome to the streets of Stavanger. I have been to the library and I've got myself a boarding pass, which means that I will hopefully be on that flight home. However, my problem is I need a ticket for the bus, and my bank's trying to send me verification texts because it doesn't believe it's me. But hey, that's a public resource that we cannot underestimate. Being able to go in the library and get my shit sorted out. Other than that though, Stavanger seems quite pleasant. There's a lot of boat activity going on. Interesting looking bridge over there. And it's stopped raining, so it could be a hell of a lot worse. It's just a shame all I have to navigate is this paper map. I feel a little bit like a shit version of Bald and Bankrupt. It was then a little bit strange just sitting in my room for a while, not even having a clock. Not to sound like a hapless millennial or anything, but not having a phone or any internet access was really, really weird. Because back in the day, you'd have a watch, you'd have maps, and then you'd have maybe a phone that just made calls. But now we just rely on this little computer in our pockets to do everything, and if that fails, then you've often got nothing. So after indulging in the delights of daytime TV for a while and calling my bank so they'd let me actually buy a ticket to the airport, I met up with Sofie and Philip, and my god, we went to this wonderful little bar and cafe on what's known as Colour Street, and they paid for my food, my drinks. I was basically told don't look at the prices and just order whatever. And their generosity was amazing, and as was the canine company. And having done that, taking a walk back through the absolutely insane street of colour, and waving to a strange man who was seemingly taking pictures of us out of his van.
Fantastic!
They were like, hey, come back to our place and we'll find you an old phone. So we're now on to next level, holy hell, and we stopped off at a typical Norwegian supermarket, where on Sundays you'll find that the shop has been shrunk in order to comply with trading laws, much like how in the UK the little shops tend to ignore Sunday hours, and I was shown around and plied with snacks to try when we reached their place. And I have to say that Kvikk Lunsj is great. It might almost beat British Kit Kats. Then, sure enough, having literally turned their apartment upside down, I'm handed an iPhone 6 to have. Just take it. What the hell? Just putting it on record here that these legends have got me a phone.
Yeah,
They've
bitch.
fed me. And yeah.
Oh no, we haven't fed you that much. Do you want any food?
Order something.
Yeah, we can order something.
I mean, I'm not going to say no.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I should do a big...
A phone.
And then they order us all more food. And they'd also recently adopted a feral kitten who preferred to hiss at us and watch the chaos from a distance. Unfortunately though, it was soon time to get moving back to my hotel, having been asked if I needed any more snacks or drinks, if I needed anything else, and I was soon spamming multiple people just like, my god, you'll never guess what just happened. Apparently I have 2 Norwegian guardian angels now. I slept well that night, albeit disappointed to be then going home. It was soon time to get myself over on the bus to Stavanger Airport, where I was baffled to see that my flight was seemingly an hour later. The gods were trying to screw with me one last time, because having just about finished my beer and sandwich, my flight was called for boarding at the correct time, and I had to make a dash onto my little Loganair Embraer ERG 135 for the hour or so flight back to Newcastle.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Newcastle. Local time here is 1:45. Please do remain seated until the aircraft has came to a final and complete stop and the captain has switched off the seatbelt signs. And all face coverings should remain on when disembarking the aircraft and only to be removed once outside the terminal building. On behalf of Logan, I would like to thank you all for your help today in protecting our customers, crew and fellow colleagues.
And so I was back home
Thank you and a
on
very good
solid
afternoon.
ground after quite the adventure. Of course though, I can't just end the video like that, because I have never in my life been so indebted to both the country and its people. I've had some bloody funny stories to tell in my time, but never have I felt so safe, so cared for and so grateful. Nobody I've mentioned here had to do anything. My fellow passenger didn't have to give me his MacBook, the staff didn't have to be giving me iPads, the hotel didn't have to upgrade me and give me all this empathy from my own stupid injuries, and of course, Sofie and Philip didn't have to give me a lift to my hotel, hang back to make sure that I got to my room okay, offer to hang out, take me for food, bring me back to their place, give me a literal iPhone, feed me again, then drop me off safely once more, and just genuinely be absolutely amazing company, because they aren't strangers now, they're friends and ones I'm absolutely indebted to, and no doubt we'll meet again in less COVID-y times, whether that be Stavanger, Newcastle, or somewhere in between. Well, not literally in between, because it's just sea between us. So, what's it like travelling abroad in a global pandemic? It's alright, I suppose.